Okay, this is my video for how to install a splash guard my way, maybe properly, I don't know. First thing we have to do is remove the front bumper and take the center strip out and drill out the rivets to get back to a point where it's further than where the splash guard goes. When drilling out, especially the front rivets, do not go in too far because you'll drill right through the bumper and then it's junk. Now we gotta get this center molding out. Just carefully pull. Get it back to about there. Okay, you definitely do not want to drill all the way through. All you want to do is have like a drill bit big enough to drill off the head. So ready? And there we go. And that's what you should be left with. Okay, once you got all the drill heads off, you should be able just to pull on that and get it kind of back to, about here. Now we're left with a bunch of rivets sticking out that I used to like to use this thing. I think my video got a little screwed up there. So we have a bunch of these rivets hanging out. So what I just like to do is kind of get them going in to the hull so they're flush. And then I have this handy dandy tool that I made out of a screwdriver and a grinder, which is, it's perfectly flat on the end. And so what I do with those is I will put it on the end of the rivet like that and just blast them through. Okay, now that we got all the rivets out, all the holes cleaned up, now we're gonna center out where the splash guard goes. Usually underneath the front bumper, there is this little mark right here, which is typically right in the middle of your front of your boat. So then, as far as the splash guard goes, what I like to do to find the center point of this, to be exact, bear with me, I don't have any camera assistance. Just fold it in half like this, stretch it out like that, and boom, there's your center mark. Very important. Okay, let's talk about cutting the bond flange and cutting the nose piece, because now this guy is going to extend down. We're not going to be able to have that piece return back. It's going to have to get cut straight down there. And now that we have a measurement, we know that our splash guard will go back to this point. We have to cut our bond flange from this point underneath and the entire nose. Okay, splash guard mock-up now. We're obviously going to have our nose piece is going to be here, unless if you're doing the Mike Hague thing and wrapping HydroTurf. I don't believe in it, but anyway, he also does have super cool belt-built splash guards that I wasn't lucky enough to get or important enough, so I'm using the jet trim one because jet trim makes great things. I've never had one fail as far as coming off, but I have ripped one. Anyway, back to my story. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts that we are going to use the original holes for sure. However, very important, between here, I'm gonna put 2 more rivets, and between here, I'm gonna put 2 more rivets. So, to make sure that we know which ones are rivets and which ones are for the actual bumper, we're gonna simply mark them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. Okay, so we have our 4 original holes, which are for our bumper. Those are there, those are just in there to hold it. Obviously I added 2 more in the front middle, 1 in between, and then added 1 stock, added 1 stock, added 1, 2, and 3. So we're kind of like all the way to there, and we come around to there. A little bit of Mad Max, but this is what you need to do. Okay, real important, time to contact cement it on. So I like to use, as Trent likes to use, the Weldwood contact cement. Pulled off half of it, and we're gonna glue the edge, and then we're gonna glue the edge. Rivets in place. I'm going to be using the Bimford 3000. I've had this thing for about 30 years. I actually have the front end milled down such that it fits easily inside here. It's a good grab. So let's get number 1 out of the way. Our thousands of financial professionals can help. Go to Prudential.com or talk to an advisor. And that's it. Let's go for number 2. New Febreze Light. And now we're going to go around to all the ones that do not go into the mounts. Just remember, the ones with the little marks on it, those are getting bolted on. So the rivets are only there for a spacer. I'm at the point of putting the front bumper on. Let me just show you. I got 2 of the 4 bolts in, okay? And the plan is to put the two middle bolts in first and tighten them down as much as possible, because on the 2 end bolts that aren't in yet, we came everything out 1/4 of an inch. So they don't exactly line up perfectly, and they kind of got to get stretched a little bit. So if the front 2 bolts are in first, it'll help it out. Okay, a couple things. These 2 bolts typically go in perfectly straight, where you can use the plugs. These 2 end ones typically sit a little bit less because of the angle they're on with the washer in there. So these plugs might need a little bit of cut down and a little bit of silicone. Also, where this edge is, bumped out a little bit. I also silicone in there. That's it. I hope my step-by-step tutorial helped. If I sounded out of breath, I probably was, because I've been doing nothing through this Corona bullshit. One last thing though, you gotta love the shine and go. It's just what you gotta do. So the last step, oh yeah, get that. It'll turn those old bumpers like new. I'll even put a little on the splash guard. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Look at that. That's how you spit shine a 25-year-old.